Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here.
Back in the Gumbo Pot.
It's Mitchell,
And PJ.
and we just finished playing
Beast of Diplomacy.
Beast and Diplomacy, a game that's coming out on Kickstarter pretty soon. Heck, by the time you see this video, it may even be out on Kickstarter. This is a game designed by Mike Cribble, and it's going to be published by Dragon Dawn Productions. Give us a quick overview. What are we doing in this game?
So we're basically making a magical zoo. We are making like a menagerie of these mythical creatures. But not just that, we're wanting to make sure that we are having the creatures that the rich folk want. So we're also playing these diplomats that are these aristocrats, and they want to see very specific things in these creatures, maybe their color or their species or their habitat. But the cool thing is, and we'll get to more of this a little bit later, we each have different diplomats visiting our menageries. So if I'm playing a beast, it may be helping my opponent more so than it's helping me. So that's something you got to keep your eye on. And then, we have different kinds of people we're interacting with. We have the traders over here that might want to buy our beast if they're not really doing what we want to do. Right. If they're not serving their purposes. And we have staff that we can hire virtually for our mythical zoo that can help us upkeep and take care of the animals.
All right, so this is not going to be a review because it's a Kickstarter project. So many things can change. And in fact, I'm not going to cover the art at all. And Mitchell, it's because I don't really review AI art. I'm just not a fan. So I'm not making a judgment call on this. I'm just saying it's part of my ethos that all I do is I'll talk about the game itself, but I'm not really going to cover the art and all. And besides, it's a Kickstarter game, and so many times when I've played Kickstarter games like this, by the time it gets to the final production, so much has changed. I just want to really talk about the flavor of the things that we did like about it. Because there was a couple of things that we did like, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What's one of the first things that you thought? Because I have two things in mind.
Okay, so since I already touched on it, I'll go into the fact that, we have these aristocrats. So, I'm looking at my hand and I'm saying, oh, I have this beast that I could put into my menagerie. And I don't know if menagerie is the term, but that's what I'm going to use. I have this beast that I could play because I have this aristocrat that I could play that's really going to like that. But honestly, my first play of the game, I wasn't really looking at my opponents. And even on the box, it says it's all about player interaction. So really
There's a lot of player interaction.
Right, yeah. So really what I should have been doing is looking at what BJ's aristocrats wanted and making sure that I'm playing things that my aristocrats like, but his don't. Because there were a couple times I played a monster, and I'm like, oh, great, I get some aura, which is kind of like currency. And BJ's getting aura off of it as well. Exactly. So I got to watch that.
Yeah, you do have to watch what each of them are doing. One of the things that I really liked about this game are these green cards. Forget the exact names of them. But
Personnel.
I like personnel because there are a bunch of different kinds. They're either affecting the cages and environments that you have, meaning you can get some income, right? Or even make some of your displays, your menageries cheaper when you're when you're doing the maintenance at the end of the round. But the really cool ones to me are the ones that are one-time use and they affect the game. It'll be things like, I'm going to wipe this part of the board, get some more cards, maybe move a worker around. So it almost feels like you're getting it fresh. You don't add cards during the round. It's only at the start of the round when you get cards.
That's probably the toughest part, I would say, is you got to work with what you get unless you have one of those cards. So whenever we saw one of those cards, we would snatch them up right away.
Yeah, because in the first round we didn't, and in the second round we're like, okay, those are the first cards that come off the board.
Right. So and we played at a 2-player. I imagine whenever there's 6 players, which it backs up players, like we're really going to be duking it out over these cards.
I think actually, and I've only played it at 2. I played it with the designer at 2, and I played it with you at 2. I'm wondering if that sweet spot is 3, 4, 5 because it gives you a little bit more time to think. There's going to be a lot of interaction with the meeples on the board, and then also trying to draft. I'm probably going to focus on the guys next to me to see if I can draft. Make sure I don't draft anything that's going to give them that. But the personal cards I think give you a chance to change some of the things with the cards to match your quests, especially since sometimes you're limited by what's on the board. So a good way to change that up, either by refreshing the cards or by modifying.
Right. Thematically, it's kind of cool. So one of the things certain aristocrats want to see are certain colors of animals. Like, I want to see green tigers or whatever. And there's a card in here, I think it's called like the dyer or the painter. That goes and paints your animals for you so it can fit the requirements that rich person wants to see.
Yeah, we're still questioning about the chef, right? Because it seems like the chef is eating some of the animals.
Well, so it's depending on how big, how much ore your animal costs is how much it generates. So it makes not just how he's eating the animals, he's cutting off pieces of them, and then the next day he's cutting off some more.
I'm thinking at the end of the festival, there's not going to be much of the animal left. He's chopping them all up. So that's the second thing I liked, the working with the personnel cards. I thought that was pretty cool.
what I thought was cool is, this is, the cards make the game, but this is also a worker placement game. And the spaces are pretty self-explanatory. If you go to this space, you draft the card here.
And if you go first, you get a cool little bonus.
Exactly. So all these spaces have these. I don't remember the term for it, but it's like if you're one of the first ones there,
High
you
priority.
get high priority. That's the word I'm looking for. You get these little like king's favor tokens, and then whenever you get a set of these, they turn into these
Points.
medals that give you points. But the reason that's important is because, first of all, it helps you decide where to go, especially if you're having some AP and you're like, I don't know what to look at. It's like, okay, well, I can get points if I go here, so let me go get here. But the cool thing about these workers is, so right now they're all placed out. That doesn't mean I'm out of workers. I can take this worker and move it somewhere else, but he gets really, really tired, so he gets exhausted. So basically, all these workers can be used twice.
Yeah, I like that exhaust thing.
Right, but the cool thing about it is, I have to make a choice. In doing that, I just opened up this really nice spot that BJ can go in and scoop now. So is getting a card from here more worth it to me than him coming and getting these potential points right here?
It costs you stuff to do that.
Right, it costs you 5 or 2 cards.
2 cards, yeah, that's gonna.
Which we did mess up. We didn't realize at first we could discard the card.
Yeah, I did forget about that. That is an important rule. We would have extended our turns a little bit more. Now, the last thing I want to talk about that I really liked. I like the quest cards. When you get these 2 quest cards, I've never seen this exactly this system. You're gonna get these quest cards, and that's a tough one. So let's go with one of these. When you get these quest cards, it's saying I'm looking for beasts that are 4 points, right? Or I'm looking for
that species.
That species with the helmet, right? The kind of the horns on the top of it. And for every one of these at the end of the game, I'm going to get multipliers on there for points. But I got to make these quests. So right off the bat, at the start of the game, I'm looking at the purple cards, I'm looking at the beasts, and I'm trying to say, what can I do in synergy? Plus the cards in my hand. What can I do right off the bat? So that way I'm not getting any negative points. And then I can also kind of focus my game. I like any kind of game that gives you some direction at the start that's going to help you drive your strategy forward. Now, it's just 1 quest card. So it's not going to define your whole game, but at least it gives you something to do the first round. You kind of know what you want to do. But here's the twist that I thought was cool. Take these 2 cards, and then I discard the one I don't want. Mitchell's got 2 cards in his hand. He gets to pick from those 2 or the one I just discarded. So I also, as we get to the second and third day of the festival, I need to be careful that I'm not handing you a super high scoring card that matches well with your menagerie. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've never seen that before.
For sure. And it's cool because even in later rounds, even the ones you drafted the first round, if you see one that's really, really good and I haven't really been able to accomplish this one, you could dump that one at that point too. You see that a lot in games where you get a number of cards and throughout the game, like an obsession, you're getting rid of the ones you can't utilize, but you could dump all those if you want. You can see some really good ones later on down the line.
Yeah, you get that big pointer and you never can complete it. That's okay. Just trash it out later in the game when you get something a little bit better.
But there are also some difficult choices. So like if you're attracting these rich people to come see your animals and you don't have anything they like, then they're going to be mad. You're going to lose points. So you got to be careful with that. It's some hard decision making.
I will tell you this game, in talking with Mike on Discord when we were going through it, he likes interaction, and it's what I call pinch points. There are a lot of pinch points in this game. There's some traps, like you'll pick a card and it really looks juicy, but as soon as you play it, now you're committed to that card, and it's every 2, I think, you get negative points.
Every 2 that you don't satisfy.
It's that back and forth. And I really want to do this because there's some cards out there, and I've got some ability to maybe get those. But once you commit to it, you better complete it. So,
yeah, and then the tough thing is too, you have to upkeep your animals, your beasts every round. And just because I have what the rich folk want right now, if I don't have it still at the end of the game, if I've sold off that animal to a trader, they're going to be upset. They don't just want it for one day; they want to see it at the end of the festival as well.
You know what was kind of wild that I wasn't expecting the first time when I played with Mike is that in the first couple of rounds, you don't actually need to be this giant money engine. What you really want to do is get to 0, because you get a bonus king's a little point that you can eventually turn into medals. But not only that, you also get to go first because you're poorer, right? So you're getting the better choices all during the round. Later on, obviously, you need money because you want to put out the environments and you want to put out your monsters and all that. But that's kind of it's unusual in that you're trying to actually zero out between your maintenance and between all your sales.
And similarly
It's not easy
with
to
your
do.
workers, thematically, it's like if you work as hard as you possibly can, the king wants to reward you. If you manage to exhaust all of your workers,
Which I
you get a
did one
reward
time.
as well. You did?
Yeah.
I never got to it. It was too expensive for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep that ore to upkeep, feeding all my animals.
To make sure you get that. All right. Well, that's 2 or 3 of the things that I like about it. 2 or 3 of the things that you like it. We struggled a little bit with the rule book. I'm going to tell you that I many times the Kickstarter games like that we do. Luckily, I had Mike to help teach, but still, there was a couple little things. Mike's going to try to eliminate as many edge cases as he can, but I'd like to see a little bit of a tuned rule book after the game comes out. But I'm pretty sure that's one of the things they're going to be working on. Other than that, you'll stay tuned to the Kickstarter project because they're going to be very active in the forums on the Kickstarter project.
Yeah, if you like crunchy games, seriously, like if you can grok all these different things, I'll say it's not for the faint of heart. You're looking at a lot of options. If you're one of those, what's that?
It's an expert game.
Yeah. If you're one of those people that can connect the dots between a lot of things, I think this will be right up your alley.
Yeah, we have a couple of people that I would not play this game with.
Yeah,
Most of our group, like Jared, me, you, Dave, Dugas, we could play this, but there's a couple of people in our group that would be tough to play.
They would quadruple our score, but it would take them 10 times as long to take their turn.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, what is it? The Beautiful Mind memes where it's just like all the numbers going. Yeah.
Exactly. This is it. So, all right. Well, I do want to thank the group from Dragon Dawn and also Mike for teaching me the game on TTS, and of course Mitchell for going through the rule book and helping me out tonight. That's Beasts and Diplomacy, which should be out on Kickstarter pretty soon. Until next time.
Laissez le bon temps rouler.
Laissez le bon temps rouler.